What do you do when you feel lonely? How can we serve those who feel all alone? And how do we act out our trust? These are 3 points to ponder in this week's Sunday School lesson. What a wonderful lesson we have this week. The title of the lesson this week is A Plea for Deliverance. A plea for deliverance. The lesson focuses continue to cry to God no matter how far away he seems. And lastly, the scripture is Psalms 22, 1 through 11. This is such a wonderful lesson. If you've been keeping up with the national media, you know that loneliness in the U.S. is off the charts post-COVID. And this lesson talks about what to do when you feel lonely, when you feel separated from God. This video has one purpose: to give you great questions you can ask, to incite engaging conversation, to build community that we all may grow and become more like Christ. The best way to build Christian community is through engaging discussion, and that's the point of this video. There are a lot of great Sunday school lessons that exegete Sunday school videos that exegete the lesson, and go to those because they're great. That's not the purpose of this video. This video is all about giving you the questions you need to have engaging discussion about the lesson. How do we come up with our questions? You already know, through emotions, through actions or decisions, and then through responses. Emotions, decisions, reactions. That's literally our formula to come up with questions. Let's jump right on into the lesson this week. Our first outline is Psalms 22 verses 1 through 5. Psalms 22 verses 1 through 5. And the title is A Cry to the God Who Saves. Let's look at verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? You've heard that before, right? Remember Jesus on the cross? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from my cries of anguish. And I already have a point to ponder for us to think about it. What makes us feel that God is far away from us? What life situations can we face that would make God feel far away from us? That's something to think about, because the Christian reality is, although we want to say we ain't one with God all the time, there are times when God seems distant, and we see that all through the Bible. So discuss that. What are the times when in our lives have we felt that God was far away from us? Was it in grief? Was it in sorrow when we lost our job? Whatever the situation is, give people scenarios and let's see where the conversation goes. Here's something else to think about this. And I like verse 3. Listen what verse 3 says. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. Verse 4, in you our ancestors put their trust. Now here's the second point to ponder for this week. Why did Israel still trust in God when he felt far away? Why did Israel still trust in God even when he felt so far away? Let that marinate and let people think about it. They could probably bring up what God had done in the past, what the word says, their responsibility. But talk about that, because I think that's so very important. A great crucial question. Why did they still trust? Because the verse started with the word yet, that even though they don't hear, yet there's something that we have to consider. Now, here's another point to ponder. Here's point to ponder number 3. And I get this in that same verse 4. In you, our ancestors put their trust. How do we demonstrate that we still trust in God, even when he feels far away? How can we demonstrate? How can we show the world, show other believers, show our family, show our friends that we still trust in God, even when he seems far away? So try to get some very practical responses there, because we want to make sure people know that we have to act out our faith. We walk by faith. We have to act out our faith. Let's go to the second outline. God, our only help. God, our only help. Verse 6, but I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. Here's a great point to ponder. When God is silent, do we question our faith? When God is silent, do we question our faith? Do we question who we are to God? When God seems silent, when God seems away from us, do we question what God feels about us? That's a very crucial question, because remember, people are feeling lonely in these times. When people go through grief, when people go through the hardships of life, and they have to spend a lot of time alone, they want to hear God in a real way. So, and when we don't hear, is it possible that we change the way we view God? Or we change the way we think God views us? That's a better way to say it. Wow, that is a great question. Now, here's a great question. I love this one too, and this is out of verse 11. I know there's a lot of verses in there, but verse 11 says, "Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help." And here's a crucial question, point to ponder. How do we stay away from self-reliance and completely trust in God? Because, these days it's so easy. It's literally so easy to always say, you know what? I'm going to work it out. I know what I'm going to do. All I have to do is, how do we stay out of self-reliance and keep our complete trust in God? How do we trust and sing instead of doubt and scheme? Ooh, you like that question? I love that question. How do we trust and sing instead of doubting and scheming? Because I think that's a crucial question for us to consider as we grow our faith. This is a very real lesson. This lesson, I would hate for the conversation to be shallow and we just say, just trust God. No, really dig in this week. Teacher, Bible study leader, group facilitator, really dig in this week and see how God is moving in the lives of your people. Can the church serve? Here's the last question I want you to ask. How can the church serve people who feel alone right now as the holidays are about to approach? How can the church serve those who feel alone? That's your last point to ponder. How can the church serve those who feel alone, feel separated from families, feel like there's no purpose to live? How can the church serve those in this season? So much in this lesson. This is Psalms 22. So please push people, engage, get those good answers, and watch God build community through Sunday school. Have a great lesson. We'll see you next week. Bye.